The promises of the United States government were that if the Cherokees, the Creeks, the Choctaws, the Seminoles, the Chickasaws could somehow assimilate ways of living that were more like their white neighbors, that they could be the political and social equal of their white neighbors. Literally, Thomas Jefferson once assured the Indian leaders in a speech that he believed they could become the equal of white people.
You will unite yourselves with us, President Jefferson said. Join our great councils and form one people with us, and we shall all be Americans. But the end of the 1820s saw the first stirring of a populist political movement that sent tremors through Indian lands all over the East. This hard-edged new movement found voice in Andrew Jackson. In his first address to Congress, President Jackson announced his intention to do as his voters pleased, which is to say, rid the East of the Indian tribes once and for all.
The Indian Removal Bill was Jackson's first priority once he was in office. It did reflect a fundamental shift in the way that America was beginning to define itself.
The thinking of the day becomes more racist, that the Cherokees are inferior and cannot be like the whites.
The legislation passed, and President Andrew Jackson's signature made Indian removal the law of the land.
The people are told they have 2 years to remove themselves peacefully with support from the federal government, supplying and make sure that they get their payments. And only a handful of people leave. They continue planting their fields and making improvements on their farms. That was their land. They weren't going to leave.
For the vast majority of the Cherokee people, removal was not an option. It just was not. They couldn't comprehend removal. They couldn't comprehend that a handful of people signing a piece of paper would be enough to remove them from their homelands.
On the morning of May 26, 1838, 3 days after the removal deadline, federal troops and state militia began what they called the Assembly of the Cherokee people.
Everything that wasn't actually on the person now belonged to the state. And they were forced out into yards and on to the roads with whatever they had on their back.
It was early December before the final group began the 850-mile trip. By then, the long line of Cherokee travelers stretched from Illinois into Kentucky, unbroken in places for 3 miles.
No one could have predicted that one of the hardest winters in memory would strike that year.
A New Englander passing through western Kentucky noted the sad procession. 2,000 people, sick and feeble, many near death. One woman was carrying her youngest child who was dying in her arms. The Indians buried 14 or 15 at every stopping place.
The United States gained a lot of land, but a loss for the American government is the blemish, the stain it places upon our national honor. What we did in the 1830s to the southeastern Indians, it's ethnic cleansing.